Looking at running back, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this has been a deep position for the Gators the last few years. There's been quite a few guys that are capable, really good players. Nobody that's been emerged as any kind of superstar, but certainly two of those guys have been Damian Pierce and Malik Davis.
Yeah, Mark, Damien Pierce was part of Dan Mullen's first class in 2018, and then decided to leave. There's some talk maybe he'd come back as well. Malik Davis, he's a holdover from Jim McElwain. It was 2017 was his freshman year there. So both those guys are going. And look, we had talked about it all year, how deep Florida was. You start with those two. You throw Naquan Wright, DeMarcus Bowman, Lorenzo Lingard. Well, the last two, they barely got any playing time once SEC conference play started. Even when Florida was losing games, it was still Pierce, Davis, and Wright for the most part. And, mostly rightfully so, because those guys, honestly, they didn't get the ball enough. So you wish Florida would have run the ball a bit more. But Pierce, Davis on their way out. So that does leave and Naquan Wright elevated up. And that's if he can bounce back from an injury, Mark. He got hurt in that last season finale game against FSU, had surgery. So going into spring, we thought, okay, it's only going to be DeMarcus Bowman and Lorenzo Lingard taking part in spring at the running back position. But then Florida gets another transfer, one from Louisiana. Montrell Johnson is going to follow Billy Napier at the running back position. Mark, he was a true freshman last year, rushed 162 times, 838 yards, had a 99-yard run versus Arkansas State this year in a game for Louisiana. So true freshman transfers, going to have lots of eligibility left to go to Gainesville. So it does give Florida now some depth going into spring at the running back position. And then we'll see how Florida got a commit recently from Trevor Etienne, Travis Etienne's little brother at the running back position as well. So they're getting numbers back there. But for spring, they only have 3 of guys that have some football experience.
If you get like 1/3 of the production out of Trevor that you got out of Travis at Clemson, you'd be in good shape. Because
sign me up right now. Yeah, I'll take a third of that and Florida be in good shape.
Talking about the most prolific running back in the history of the ACC right there. Yeah, Damian Pierce, what a productive guy that he's been. 13 touchdowns this past year, almost 6 yards per carry at 5.7, and Malik Davis at 5.3.
Only 100 carries. I mean,
yeah, that's not a whole lot. 13 games.
It was that staff's gone, thankfully. But
about 19 passes out of the backfield with 3 touchdowns. So you want to get him the football,
right? Pro Football Focus had him as their top-rated running back. Granted, he is somewhat limited with 100 carries, but with those 100 carries, he made something happen when he touched the ball.
Okay, so 5.7 and 5.3 yards per carry reflects well along the offensive line as well. Your thoughts about replacing a few veterans up there?
Yeah, on the right side, Stuart Reese, who had transferred from Mississippi State a couple years ago, came to Florida. Probably didn't really live up to what we thought he'd be coming into Dan Mullen's offense, and the familiarity he'd have with the staff and Dan Mullen's offense didn't really ever translate. He had a tough time staying healthy when he came to Florida. And also Gene DeLance at right tackle, struggled at right tackle a good bit. Was better in run sets than he was in pass sets. But those two now are gone. But Florida hit the lottery, Mark, on the transfer portal as far as offensive linemen goes. Osiris Torrance, ESPN named him one of the top 100 players going into last season, 2021. ESPN just put out their All-American preseason list. He is on there as one of the 5 best offensive linemen in the country right now. Florida grabs him. He transfers from Louisiana, follows Billy Napier to Gainesville, 6'5", 335. He started 38 games in his career, 14 in 2021. Mark, this is Florida needed help because of who they lost, but also Florida needed just a talent infusion along the offensive line. They went in the transfer portal and got one of the best ones, one who probably, Mark, you talked about NFL draft, one who we could be talking about the NFL draft in Osiris Torrance, but decided to follow Billy Napier to Gainesville, and Florida absolutely needed him to kind of mark for a couple reasons. Like as I said, a talent infusion, but also it's good to bring somebody, a really good player who knows the culture of Billy Napier, who can share along the offensive line what it takes, the system. Maybe you bring a player along like that, and maybe the offensive line as a whole takes part of Billy Napier's offense gels together pretty quick, and Florida can rely on that run game, led by Cyrus Torrence leading the way along the offensive line. So I think it was a big need for the Gators. They got into a battle with LSU and Auburn along the way for Torrence, but visited over the weekend and then made his commitment this past Monday to join the Gators in Billy Napier.